Okay, so let's move on to the next problem. So a rectangular coffee table is 1 2/3 yards long and 2 feet wide. Which of the following show the perimeter of the tabletop? Now, your perimeter is just your distance around this object of the tabletop, and the tabletop is rectangular in shape. So that means that this side is going to be equal to this side is going to be equal to this side. So it's 1 2/3 yards long, 1 2/3 yards. Okay, so that would be that side, 1 2/3 yards on this side. And then it's 2 feet wide. Now, this is where we have the problem. 2 feet from here to here. Now, let's go ahead and make a table really quick, not this kind of table, but this kind of table right here. So we're going to go yards to feet. So I'm going to start out with just saying, okay, 1/3 of a yard is 1 foot. 2/3 of a yard is 2 feet. So 3/3 of a yard, which is one whole, okay, is 3 feet. Then if we go 4/3, which is 1 1/3, okay, that's 4 feet. 1 2/3 yards, which would be 5 feet. And I can kind of stop right there, okay? So I can turn this into feet over here. 1 2/3 yards is the same as 5 feet. So that's also 5 feet. And this is going to be the simplest, easiest way for me to do this first one. But look, a rectangular coffee table is 1 2/3 yards long and 2 feet wide. Which of the following show the perimeter of the tabletop? So we've got several answers to choose from. So let's start with feet. We're going to go 2 feet plus 5 feet, 2 feet plus 5 feet, times 2, because there's two sets of those numbers. So 2 plus 5 is 7 feet, times 2 is 14 feet. So there's one of our answers. Okay, come in right here. Now we've got to figure out, okay, is it 3 2/3 yards? Is it 7 feet? No, that's one side. So I know it's not this one, but what other ones could it be? All right, so let's take 1 2/3 yards plus, now what is 2 feet in yards? Oh, it's 2/3 of a yard. So now I can just do the same thing. So I'm going to just use a little sticky note right here, put it up here, and I'm going to go 1 2/3 yard plus, and this is 2/3 yard right here, in parentheses, and then I'm going to multiply it by 2 because there's two sets. This side is congruent to this side is congruent to this side. That's why I can take these two sets of numbers and multiply them by 2, okay, when I'm all done adding it up. So if I go 1 2/3 yards plus 2/3, okay, that's going to equal 2 1/3 times 2. Well, 2 1/3 times 2 is the same as saying 4 2/3 yards. Do we have a 4 2/3 yards? Yes, we do. So E works. Now we can also do it where we take our mixed number and turn it into an improper fraction. And let's see if we get one of these. So obviously, if we have 4 2/3 yards, it's probably not going to be 3 2/3 yards when we add this up the next time, but we do have to check on the 14/3 yards. So I'm going to use MAD, and I'm going to do the same thing. I know that 1 2/3 is the same as 5/3. plus 2/3. And then I'm going to multiply that by 2. Okay, so 5/3 and 2/3 is 7/3 times 2, 14/3 yards. Okay, moving on. Okay, so now we've got an example up here. So choosing a unit to solve a word problem. Ryan and Layla measured the length of their hermit crabs. Ryan measured his crab to be 34 millimeters. Layla measured her crab to be 2.8 centimeters. Who has the longer crab? Well, this is good because we've been using this measurement for the entire lesson, at least a lot of it, to go from centimeters to millimeters. And I'm hoping you remember that all we have to do to go from centimeters to millimeters is multiply by 10, or to go from millimeters to centimeters is divide by 10. So 1 centimeter, 10 millimeters. Okay, 2 centimeters, 20 millimeters. Well, now we have 2.8 centimeters. And you guessed it, multiply it by 10, slide that decimal over once, 28 millimeters. And then we have 34 millimeters. Well, let's do the same thing. Divide it by 10, so it's going to be 3 4/10 centimeters. Pretty simple. Okay. It's easier to compare the measurements in the same units. You can compare in millimeters or centimeters. To compare the crabs in millimeters, convert the length of Layla's crab into millimeters. And that's all we have to do for Layla. So we just take 2.8 and multiply it by 10, and we get 28. And that little dot there doesn't belong, so it's 28 millimeters. Now, and then to convert centimeters to millimeters, use multiplication. 2.8 times 10 is 28. All right, Layla's crab is 28 millimeters long. 34 millimeters is greater than 28 millimeters. So I apologize about the light. It keeps going off on me. So it kind of messes me up as we're going, but we're just going to keep going. So which is the smaller unit, centimeters or millimeters? And real obvious, if you look at the ruler, you know it's going to be millimeters. In the example, multiplication was used to convert centimeters to millimeters. What operation would you use to convert millimeters to centimeters? So if I wanted to go from here to here, I would divide, and more specifically, divide by 10. Okay. Number 3, look at the example. See if I can clean this up here. Look at the example. Ryan and Layla's friend Jan also has a hermit crab. Jan measures her hermit crab to be 3.3 centimeters long. Let's just put it up here. So Jan's is 3.3. Well, if we multiply that by 10, just like everything else, it's going to be 33 millimeters. Okay? Who has the longer crab, Jan or Layla? Well, let's just write these down. So if we go Jan's is 33 centimeters. Okay. Layla is 28 centimeters. And Ryan is 34. Okay. Who has the longer crab? Jan or Layla? Definitely who? Jan. Who has the longer crab? Jan or Ryan? Definitely Ryan. And you don't really need to show your work with anything other than to say 34 is greater than 33. Okay? And it's by 1 centimeter. Okay? All right, turning the page. Sorry you missed that. Let me bring this down right here. Okay. Now, number 4, and we're getting close to the end of the lesson. Okay, 3 problems left. Just hang right in there. Gino's hamster Zippy. Man, that's a lot of crazy names right there. Gino and Zippy ran in her hamster wheel for 48 seconds, stopped to drink water, and then ran the wheel for another 2.5 minutes. How long did Zippy run in all? Show your work. Okay, so let's start with what they give us, 1 minute, 60 seconds. So minute, seconds. And because I have halves, I might go by half minutes. So 1/2 minute is 30 seconds. Okay, 1 minute, 60. Okay, I'm going to jump to 2 minutes, and 2 minutes is 120. Minutes, seconds, 2.5 minutes. Well, that's 120 plus 30, 150 seconds. Now I can just do the problem really quick and easy. So hamster Zippy ran for 48 seconds. Okay. Then ran the wheel for another 2.5 minutes. Well, let's take 48 seconds plus 2.5 minutes. Okay. How long did this hamster run? I'm going to turn the 2.5 minutes into seconds. That's kind of the easiest thing for me. So I can say 48 plus 150 seconds. Okay, that's going to be 198 seconds. There's one of my answers, 198 seconds. Now, if I wanted to know how many minutes that is, all I've got to do is divide it by 60. So 198 divided by 60. I know that 60 goes into 198 3 times. That's going to be 180. Okay, and that's going to leave me with 18 seconds. So this is going to be 3 minutes and 18/60ths of a minute, which is 18 seconds. Okay, on to number 5. Diego has 2 guinea pigs, Pia and Zia. Pia weighs 1 3/4 pounds. Zia weighs 32 ounces. Who weighs more? How much more? Show your work. Okay, pounds to ounces. Pound, ounces. Okay, so since we are doing quarters of a pound, let's do that. So first of all, I'm going to write 1 pound here, 16 ounces. But I know that a half of a pound, and a half is the same as 2 quarters, is going to be 8 ounces. So every quarter pound is going to be 4 ounces. So we have 1/4 pound, 4 ounces, 2/4 pounds, 8 ounces, 3/4 pounds, 12 ounces. Now we've got to get to 1 3/4 pounds. So 1 1/4 is 16 plus 4, which is 20 pounds, ounces. 1 2/4 is 20 plus 4 more, or 20 plus 8, right? So we have, 16 plus 8, 24 ounces, and then 1 3/4 pounds. 3/4 is just 12 ounces. So I'm going to take 12 plus 16, and I'm going to get 28 ounces. Okay. So, and then 2 pounds is 32 ounces. So Diego has 2 guinea pigs, Pia and Zia. Pia weighs 1 3/4 pounds. Okay, Zia weighs plus 32 ounces. Zia. Who weighs more? How much more? Okay. So first of all, who weighs more? I'm going to put these into ounces. Okay, if I wanted to do it, I can do it either way. I can turn this one into pounds, 1 3/4 pounds plus 2 pounds. And this is what I was going to do if I added them. And I really don't have to add them, I'm going to compare. So with greater than, less than, equal to. Okay, now so which one weighs more in pounds? Zia. So I can do 2 pounds minus 1 3/4. Okay, I cannot take away 3/4 from 0, so I'm going to make the 2 into a 1 and make this into 4/4. Minus 3/4 is 1/4, so it weighs 1/4 pound. So Zia is 1/4 pound heavier. Okay, now if I wanted to do it in ounces, it would just be 32 ounces, 28 ounces. So it would be the same thing. I would take 32 minus 28. And what am I going to get? 4 ounces. Okay, so pretty simple if you wanted to put it. So Zia is greater than Pia. Last one. Perimeter of rectangular table is 18 feet. The table is 42 inches wide. Which of the following show the length of the table? 1 foot equals 12 inches. Okay, so think about this. Rectangular table, the perimeter equals 18 feet. Okay, so if we went to feet and inches, okay, we know that 1 foot, 12 inches. 2 feet, 24 inches. 3 feet, 36 inches. Okay, 4 feet is 48 inches. So we are looking for 42 inches wide. And that is 6 inches from here, 6 inches from there. So that's going to be 3 1/2 feet. Okay, so we can write this. We have 3 1/2 here, 3 1/2 here. We've just got to figure out what these two are right there. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add 3 1/2 plus 3 1/2. It's going to give me 7. Okay, and now I'm going to subtract that from 18 feet. 18 minus 7 is going to be 11. Okay, and I'm going to divide that because there's two sides by 2. 11 divided by 2 is 5 1/2. Okay, so this is 5 1/2 feet. This is 5 1/2 feet. So E will work, but then they also want to know, well, inches. Well, what would 5 feet be? 5 feet is 60 inches. 5 1/2 would be 66. There go the lights. Okay. So all I've got to do is turn these into inches. Which of the following show the length? Okay, so we have 66 inches right here. So 5 1/2 times 12 would be 66. All right, that is it for the day. Kind of a a long lesson. Appreciate you hanging in, and I'll talk to you later. See you tomorrow.